All right, let's dive into a phrase that's absolutely everywhere these days: clean eating. You see it on social media, you hear it from health gurus, but what does it really mean? And more importantly, when does a healthy habit cross the line and become a dangerous obsession? Let's get into it.
So let me ask you something right off the bat. Just think about it for a second. On a scale of 1 to 10, how clean would you say your diet is? It's kind of tough to answer, isn't it? Because what's clean to me might be totally different for you. And that ambiguity, that's really at the heart of this whole conversation.
So let's try to pin this thing down. What are people even talking about when they use the term clean eating? Well, you won't find an official scientific definition in a textbook, but the whole movement is pretty much built on a few core ideas. At its core, clean eating is really all about choosing foods that are as close to their natural state as possible. Think about an apple from a tree versus a packaged apple-flavored snack. The idea is to cut back on things like refined sugars, artificial additives, and all those chemical preservatives, and instead load up on whole foods that you can actually recognize. This right here is the perfect way to think about it. A fresh strawberry, that's clean. But that jar of strawberry jam you buy at the store, which is often loaded with extra sugar and preservatives to make it last forever on a shelf, not so much. See, the key difference isn't really about good versus bad food. It's about unprocessed versus processed.
Okay, so let's say you're on board. You want to give this whole clean eating thing a shot. It sounds simple enough, right? But, a lot of people stumble right out of the gate. So let's look at 5 of the most common mistakes people make when they try to go clean.
Yeah, there are a few really common traps. The first big one is thinking of it as a restrictive diet you go on and off, instead of a long-term lifestyle change. Another one, believing that healthy food has to be bland and boring. Trust me, spices and herbs are your best friends. Then there's skipping meal prep, which almost guarantees you'll grab something processed when you're busy. Number 4 is obsessing over calories instead of the actual quality and nutrients in your food. And finally, a huge one, just blindly trusting marketing labels, which actually brings us to our next point.
That last mistake is a really big deal. Food companies are masters of marketing, right? They slap words like organic, natural, and vegan on the front of the package, and it makes us feel great, like we're making this super healthy choice. But is that what's really going on?
So get this. Let's take the official USDA organic seal. You see that green and white circle, and you think, great, this is the good stuff. But did you know that for a product to legally use that label, it only has to be 70% organic? That leaves almost a third of the product that could be, well, not organic. That's probably not what you had in mind when you picked it up.
So what's the fix here? You have to become a food detective. Seriously. The front of the box is just advertising. The real story is always on the back, in that little white box. The nutrition facts and the ingredient list, that's where the truth is. A pretty good rule of thumb, if you can't pronounce half the ingredients, you probably don't want to be eating it. Okay, and this is where we really need to get serious for a minute, because this pursuit of pure food, which usually starts from a really good place, can sometimes spiral out of control. It can turn into a dangerous obsession. So what happens when eating clean just goes way too far? There's a name for this, and it's something you should know: orthorexia nervosa. No, it's not an official diagnosis in the big psychiatric manual yet, but it's something that researchers and doctors are taking very seriously. It describes this condition where a person's focus on eating healthy or pure food becomes an all-consuming obsession. We're talking intense anxiety and distress around food choices. It's not about weight like with anorexia, it's all about being pure. And the consequences are no joke. On the physical side, because orthorexia often leads people to cut out entire food groups, it can cause severe nutrient deficiencies and even malnutrition. But the mental and social toll is just as devastating. The crippling anxiety around food can make it feel impossible to go out to a restaurant or even eat dinner at a friend's house. It leads to real social isolation. The obsession literally starts to control every single part of a person's life.
So if clean eating can turn into such a minefield, what's a better way to think about this? How do we focus on being healthy without falling into this trap of obsession and anxiety? Well, the answer is to look at established, science-backed guidelines.
Instead of getting hyper-focused on all the things you need to eliminate, experts suggest a much healthier approach. Focus on what you can include. The dietary guidelines for Americans are a fantastic roadmap for this. And just look at the language here. Vegetables of all types, a variety of protein. The whole emphasis is on variety, balance, and inclusion.
It's not about achieving some impossible standard of purity, it's about nourishing your body with a wide range of nutrients from all the food groups. This is what a sustainable and flexible approach to healthy eating actually looks like.
So we'll end with this question, and I really want you to think about it. A truly healthy relationship with food should fuel your body, yeah, but it should also fuel your life. It should let you enjoy social gatherings, travel, and celebrate. So it's worth asking yourself, is your approach to food building a bigger, healthier, happier life, or is it building a cage? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.